Welcome to ERC Tipsnology. In this video, we will be learning about superposition theorem, branch current method or mesh analysis, and node analysis or nodal analysis. Let's start. First, you will see here a problem about finding the current through R2 in the circuit of figure 8-20. So we have here a voltage source equal to 10 volts, a resistor 220 ohms, and another resistor 100 ohms connected to a current source of 100 milliamperes. The problem is to find the current through R2. Step number 1, we have to find the current through R2 with respect to Vs by replacing Is with an open circuit or an open wire, like this. As you can see here, the Is has been replaced with an open wire. After that, we will calculate for the total resistance. And since this is an open circuit now, then this wire will no longer exist in the circuit. And what we will have is a simple series circuit of two resistors. Therefore, we can just add R1 plus R2 and we will get a total of 220 plus 100, 320 ohms. Now that we know the current total, or now that we know the total resistance, we can determine the total current by Ohm's law. With the voltage source divided by the R total, we can get the I total. But then I total, I1, and I2 will all be the same to each other. Therefore, we can say that the I2 is equal to the Vs 10 volts divided by the total resistance, which is 320, and we will be getting 31.2 milliamperes. Actually, when you divide 10 by 320, we would get 0.0312 again 0.0312 amperes, because this is volt over ohms, but this answer has been changed to milliamperes. Now, this current is with respect only to Vs. So the next step is we will use the current divider formula to determine the current across R2 with respect to Is. And we will be using this circuit to do that. We will replace the voltage source with a short. And so because of that, the R1 and the R2 will now become parallel, and we have a total current entering this as 100 milliamperes Is. So to get the current I2, we can get the opposite R1 over R1 plus R2 multiplied with the I total or Is going this way. And we will get 220 ohms over 320 multiply with 100 milliamperes, and we would get 68.8 milliamperes. That is with respect to the Is. In other words, we will have two answers now. One is with respect to the voltage source, and the other one is with respect to the current source. So the I2 with respect to the each of the sources will be added together to get the I2 total. So 31.2 milliamperes plus 68.8 will give us 100 milliamperes. And that will be the answer for the current I2 with respect now with the two sources, voltage source and current source. So in superposition theorem, again, we will get the I2 with respect to Vs, and we will also get the I2 with respect to Is, and we will add them together here, I2 Vs plus I2 Is, to get the answer. Now moving on, let's have another example here. We will find the current through 100 ohm resistor. So we will get the current over here in the 100 ohms resistor. But if you look at the circuit, we have a current source 1 of 10 milliamperes going up and a current source 2 of 3 milliamperes going down. And the first step is we will find the current on 100 ohms resistor with respect to Is1, and to do that we will cancel the Is2 and we will change it with an open circuit or open wire, like what we will do over here in this figure 824. You will see that the Is2 has been replaced with an open wire, and because of that 56 will be like cancelled also, and we will simply have one circuit or one resistor in the circuit which will be having a current equal to the source of 10 milliamperes. Now, on the other hand, if you cancel the source number 1 in the middle, if you cancel that, then this will no longer exist and we will have two resistors in series, the 100 ohms and the 56 ohms, but both of them will share the same current of 3 milliamperes because they are in series. Therefore, the current in the 100 ohms will be 3 milliamperes and the current in 56 ohms will also be 3 milliamperes. Now, to get the total current, we have to add algebraically the two currents. Now, if you go back to the first answer, the current over here is moving through the 100 ohms downward. Okay, so it will go from here, counterclockwise, going downward towards 100 ohms. On the other hand, here, the current from IS2 will go downward here and then to the left and going upward with respect to 100 ohms. Therefore, we cannot add them. We can add them, but one of them must be negative. That's why the formula here is like 100, the current with respect to the 100 ohms with respect to the IS1 plus the current with respect to IS2, which is opposite direction. That's why we put minus. And the one that will get the minus sign will be the smaller value, which is negative, which is 3 milliamperes. We cannot write 3 milliamperes minus 10. Instead, we will write 10 milliamperes with respect to IS1 minus 3 milliamperes with respect to IS2 because 3 milliamperes is smaller compared with 10. And we got the final answer of 7 milliamperes flowing through the 100 ohms resistor. Now, the third example that we have here is to find the total current through R3. So, we will get what's the current in R3 in this figure. And we have two sources over here. One is 20 volts, which has negative at the top and positive at the bottom. And we have 15 volts here, which also has a negative here at the top and positive at the bottom. But take note, this is the ground, which is 0 volts. Now, the first step is to find the current through R3 with respect or due to VS1. So, we will cancel VS2. And how to cancel VS2? We will exchange it with a wire or a shorted wire like what we will do over here in this figure. The voltage source 2 is replaced with a short or a wire. And so, because of that, the R2 and the R3 will become parallel. And to get the total of the R23, the R total of the R2, R3, or let's just call it R total with respect to source 1, that will be the parallel of R23 in series with R1. That's why we will have series resistor R1 plus the parallel of R23, which will be R2, R3 over R2 plus R3. And so the 1 kilo ohm plus the 1 kilo ohm multiply with 2.2 over 1 kilo ohm plus 2.2, that will be 3.2. We will get 1.69 kilo ohms. Then, of course, because of that, with respect to the source 1, VS1, the current that we will have here will be equal to voltage source 1 divided by the total resistance RT S1. Then we will have 20 volts over the R total of S1, R total with respect to S1, which is 1.69 kilo ohms. And we got 11.8 milliamperes. That will be the I total with respect to source number 1. And if we apply the current divider formula to get the I3, we will get the opposite R2 over R2 plus R3 multiply with the current flowing through R1, which is also I total. And so we will have this formula. R2 over R2 plus R3 multiply with IT, that will be the current I3. And we get the answer of 3.7 milliamperes. That will be with respect to VS1 or source 1 only. Now, with respect to the source number 2, what we will do is the source number 1, VS1, will be changed with a short wire or a shorted wire. In other words, let's replace it with a wire. And the voltage source 2, we keep it here. And because we follow positive to negative direction of current, then the current will start from here in the VS2 and it will be splitted into two. One will go to I3 and the other current will go to I1. And we can say that the R1 and the R3 will be in parallel. And because of that, the R2 will be in series with the voltage source 2. And because of that, the R total will be R2, which is in series with the voltage source 2, plus the parallel of R1 and R3. I know this is parallel because from here, one will go to the right and one current will go to the left. So R1, R3 is in parallel, and you get the total of these two plus the series R2, and we will get 1.69 kilo ohms. Now we get the I total, that will be voltage source over R total. Voltage source to 15 volts divided by 1.69 kilo ohms, we got 8.89 milliamperes. And by current divider rule, we can get I3 by using the opposite parallel resistor of R1 over R1 plus R3 multiplied with the I total that we calculate here, or the I2 or I total of 8.89, and we will get 2.78. Now, we got the first current with respect to the source 1 as 3.7, and we got the second current with respect to I3 or with respect to VS2 as 2.78. And this current here is going up, and the first current here is going down. Therefore, the two I3 that we calculated has or have opposite direction. We have to subtract them. And which one is bigger, 3.7 or 8 point, oh, sorry, or 2.78? The bigger one is the 3.7, which is going downward. Therefore, we subtract the two by 3.7, bigger current minus the smaller current, and the answer will be 0.926 milliamperes, or converted to micro, 926 microamperes. And we will follow the direction of the bigger current, 3.7 milliamperes. Therefore, the 3.7 milliamperes I3 will be going downward, and so the final answer here will also be downward. Now, in the next topic, we will be talking about branch current method, and this is a circuit analysis method that will use the Kirchhoff's voltage and current laws. And after we finish this section, we will be able to determine the loops or identify the loops and the nodes in the circuit, and we will develop some equations based on the branch currents that we will draw, and we will be able to solve the branch current equations. By the way, a loop is a complete current way or path within a circuit, and you can view a set of non-redundant closed loop as set of window panes. And each window or window pane represents a non-redundant loop or non-repeating loop. By the way, a node is a junction where two or more components are connected. That's a node. And when defined in reference to the branch current method, a branch is a current path or way, and there are three branches in the next circuit that I will show you that contains R1, R2, and R3. So if we have three resistors, we will have three branches. And the term branch is also used to describe a path between two nodes. And the branch current method is an analysis method that relies on the Ohm's law and Kirchhoff's laws to find the current in the circuit. So let's start with this circuit that shows the nodes, node A and node B, and node C and node D. Node C is a node because there are two components, R1 and VS1. Node A is a node because there are three components, R1, R2, and R3. Node D is a node because it's between two components, R3 and VS2. And node B is a node because it has VS1, R2, and VS2 in between, or the node here is between the three components. Again, the node as defined is a place or a junction where two components, at least two or more components are connected. That's why we still call this as a node, although there's only two components here. This is node C, this is node A, this is node B, and this is node D. Usually in the node B, we really connect this to the ground, really, this node B in the usual way. But let's see the steps. The first step is to assign a current in each circuit branch in an arbitrary direction. So as you can see here, we have here loop number 1 and loop number 2. But what we will do is we will think in our own with our own way. What do you think will be the direction of the currents? For example, here we consider positive VS1 and positive VS2. Of course, we will be thinking that the positive here will produce the current and it will go through R1 to the right, and the positive VS2 here will be the current will be going up and then to the left of R3. In other words, the current I1 from R1 will be going towards A, coming into A, and the current I3 from VS2 will be going into A also. A is our node. But and in our own with our own thinking, we are thinking that the I2 will be going down. Again, these are just assumed the current directions. Later, we will determine whether we are right or wrong by simply looking at the positive or negative sign of our current after calculation. If our current becomes positive for I1 or positive for I2 or positive for I3, it means our direction assumed or that we think of is correct. If it is negative I1, then we know that the current I1 will have the same value, but it will not be going to the right. It will be going to the left. And if I2 is also negative, instead of thinking that it's going down, it will be going up. And I3, which is currently going to the left, if it becomes minus or negative, it will be going to the right. That's the what will happen. So we can write any direction that we want, going in, going out, or coming into node or coming out from the node. It doesn't really matter because you will still get the same value of answers if you know how to do the equations properly. And if it is negative, we will just say that the direction we assumed is wrong and we will just reverse its direction. So let's start with the step number one. Again, the step number one is to assign the current in the circuit branch as what we did here in our drawing here in figure 9-9 diagram. And then we will also show the polarities of the resistor voltages according to the assigned branch current directions. In other words, the direction of the current here is going to the right, therefore it will go in on the left, positive, and this one, it will go in on the right of R3, so the R3 will become positive, and the coming out will be negative here. Like this current, it's going to the right, so positive here, because it's entering here positive, and this will be assumed to be negative. Here, we are going into R2 on this side, therefore this will be positive, and coming out here, that's why this becomes negative. That's step number two. Now, the next step, step number three, is we will apply Kirchhoff's voltage law around the loop, and we will get the algebraic sum of the voltages, which will be equal to zero. And so the voltage across VS1 plus the voltage across R1 plus the voltage across R2 in this loop will be equal to zero. Also here, voltage on R2 plus voltage on R3 plus the voltage on VS2 will also be equal to zero. And then after that, we will apply Kirchhoff's current law, and that will be step number four. And then we will be able to get the equation. So let's see. Let's get one example here. We have here the equation 1 over here will be like VS1, which is actually uh, added algebraically to V1 and to V2. And if you will look over here, that will be R1I1 plus R2I2 minus VS1. That will be for loop 1. And here we will get R2I2 plus R3I3 minus VS2. That will be for loop number 2. But after that, we will get the Kirchhoff's current law, I1 minus I2 plus I3 equals 0. And we will be doing the substitution method after that to be able to get that. But we can use the calculator mode 5.1 or mode 5.2 to get the answer. Now let's try it with a problem here. We have two voltage sources, and the first step, as we have mentioned, is to assign branch currents in the figure, and we already did that. This is to the right, this is to the left, and this is downward. And then we will get the step number two. We will mark the polarities of the resistors, voltage drop in accordance with the assigned current direction. So this will be plus minus, this will be plus minus, this will be plus minus. And then after that, the next step is to apply Kirchhoff's voltage law around the left loop. And to do that, we will get 470 I1 plus 220 I2 plus or my plus, we will enter negative here. So plus the negative 10 or minus 10, that will be equal to 0. And then around the right loop, we will get also 820 I3, that will be here, plus 220 I2 minus 5 equals 0. And at node A, the current equation will be equal to I1 plus I3 minus I2 equals 0. Or we rearrange it to I1 minus I2 plus I3 equals 0. So the equation are solved by substitution as follows. First, we find I1 in terms of I2 and I3. And so we substitute I2 minus I3 for I1 in the left side of the equation. So we will get 470 I2 minus I3, because this is actually I1 plus 220 I2 equals 10. We will get this. 470 I2 minus 470 I3 plus 220 I2 equals 10, or 690 I2 minus 470 I3. And then in the right equation, we have 220 I2. We will solve and solve I2 in terms of I3. So to do that, we will get this is 220 I2 plus 820 I3 minus 5. It becomes, we move the minus 5 to the right, it will become positive 5 minus 820 I3. So it will be 5 minus 820 I3. And then the 220 will be transferred to the right over 5 minus 820 I3. And we will get the answer in I2. Now we got the value of I2. We will substitute I2 in the equation 820 I2 minus 470 I3 equals 10. And so we will get the answer. This will be 5. This is I2, right? This is I2. Actually, this is wrong. This should not be 820 I2 minus 470 I3. Okay, this is not the this is typographical error. This should be 690 I2, because here 690 multiplied with I2, which we get here. So the textbook here is wrong. It should be 690 I2 minus the 470 I3 equals 10. And then we distribute 690 multiplied with 5 over 220 minus 820 multiplied with 690. That will be a big number. And then with algebra, we will be able to get the answer I3 as 1.87 milliamperes. But I have a better way to do this in my other video about mesh analysis. I'm not doing it this way, but let's just follow this for the meantime as coming from our textbook reference by Thomas Floyd. Now let's see the substitution for the other one. Remember that we got here I2 equals 5 minus 820 I3 over 220, right, for the I2. And we have here equation 470 I1 plus 220 I2 minus 10 equals 0. So with that, we can now substitute the value of I3 in the amps into the right loop equation that we have here. So we have here 820 I2, no, not this one, but the other one. Where is that one? We already know I3, right? Now that we know I3, then we can substitute I3 to our equation here, and we will be able to get the value of I2. Okay, so we have here 220 I2 plus 820. Where is that 820? Here. In this one, 220 I2 plus 820 I3 equals 5, or minus 5 equals 0. We will substitute I3 with the answer. And we will get this, 0.00187, which is our answer here in amperes. And we got it multiplied with the 820. And because of that, the only unknown is I2. So with algebraic knowledge, we can say that 5 minus the 820 multiplied with this value over 220, we will get 0.0158 amperes. And because we already know I2, we already know I3, right? The only remaining is the I1. So if you go back to the node A that we will look here about the value at node A, the current equation is I1 minus I2 plus I3. Because we already know I2 and I3, we can substitute these values there. We will get I1 minus the answer plus the answer here. This is I2 and the other one is I3. Then we will get the value of I1. But again, if you will watch the other video that I have prepared, the handwritten calculation uh, will be I don't want to say better than this, but that's how I feel for you if you will be calculating it in this way. If you are confused in this method or way of calculation, you can use the other way that I have shown in the other video. Anyway, let's move on with another example for the mesh or the loop current method or branch current method. It has so many names: branch current method, loop current method, or mesh analysis. It's all the same. So here we have two voltage sources again, and we assume that the loop is moving both clockwise. In other words, we assume that the current here will be to the right, and this is downward. This is also to the right, but this is going up, and this is going down here, and this one is going up here on the VS1. Now to do that, it's so easy to make it shorter. We get the resistors around this loop, which is 470 and 220, and we just add them and multiply it with IA, which we can also call I1 if we want to, but let's call it IA following the notation of the book, minus the 220 here, IB. And then that will be equal to 10. Okay, that's how we do it. So 470 plus 220 IA minus 220 IB. Actually, this is minus 10 equals 0, but minus 10 will be moved to the right. That's why it becomes positive 10. And we got 690 IA minus 220 IB. Now, on the other side, we got 820 plus 220 IB multiplied to IB plus 5. But the plus 5 will be moved to the right. That's why it becomes minus 5 here. And then we subtract 220 multiplied with IA. That's why we got negative 2. But at first, what will happen? 220 plus 820 IB plus 5 minus 220 IA. And then the plus 5 moved to the right will become negative 5. And we added the 2, 820 and 220. We got 1040 IB plus the IA equals minus 5 for loop B. And then we got here by using determinants, we can write look here, we have here 10 and minus 5 as our constants. And look where we put the 10. We put it first here. The 10 and the minus 5 in the numerator, 10 and minus 5. And the minus 220 and 1040 comes from, uh, where is that value? This is 220 and 1040. We got it from here, 220 and 1040. So 220 and 1040, we put here, negative 220 and 1040. So that's the numerator. And then in the denominator, we get the 690 and 220 from here. 690, negative 220, negative 220, and 1040. See? 690 minus 220 minus 220, 1040. And then we do cross multiplication. 10 multiplied with 1040 minus negative 5 multiplied with minus 220 divided by 690 multiplied with 1040 minus negative 220 multiplied with negative 220 again. And we will get this answer of 13.9 milliamperes. And then we solve for IB. So this time we want IB. So we will use the IA from here, which is 690 and minus 220 here. And then we keep the constant here on the right, 10 negative 5. And we will get the same values here, which is equal to 669,200. And by cross multiplication again, we'll get an answer of negative 1.87 milliamperes. That's IA and IB. But again, in my other YouTube videos that I have shown you, I can use the calculator for Casio mode 5 1 in order to get the value of X, which represents the IA, and the value of Y, which represents IB. You may use that also to shorten the calculation time. But if you don't have that special function of equation, then you have to use the determinants to find the IA and to find IB. Now, the negative sign on our answer means that the direction that we assign to the current is actually opposite. And in other words, we are wrong with our direction and we have to reverse the direction of it. For example, here the answer is negative 1.87 for IB. In other words, our answer must be in the opposite direction for IB. So it should not be in the clockwise direction. Instead, it must be in the counterclockwise direction. That's what it means. On the other hand, the IA will be correct in direction and we don't need to change the direction of the IA. But IB is negative, so the direction of IB was wrong. It's just that. But the value of the IB will be correct, which is 1.87 milliamperes. Now, by its effect, let's go back here in our circuit. It means that the I1 is equal to IA and the I3 is equal to IB. And we will see it here. I1 is equal to IA and the I3 is equal to IB. It's that easy. But in the case of I2, in terms of the left side, it's going down. In terms of the right side loop, it's going up. So which one is the one that we will follow? So it all boils down to the bottom line is which one has the bigger value, 13.9 or 1.87. Of course, 13.9 milliamperes is bigger than 1.87. So IA direction will be the one that we will follow. So our final answer it will be going downward, and we have to subtract the 13 point. I mean, the value of I2 will be IA minus the IB. 13.9 minus the negative 1.87. So minus minus, it will become positive, and we will get 15.8 milliamperes in total for our I2 total based on the mesh or branch current method. So keep in mind that once you know the branch currents, you can find the voltages by just using Ohm's law. So if I want V1, I can just multiply I1 by R1. If I want V2, I'll just multiply I2 with R2. And if I want V3, let's say I have V3, I will multiply I3 multiplied with R3. Now, if you have circuits with more than two loops, if you have more than two loops, it means you have three loops or four loops, then you will be seeing in the next example how it is done. Like here, we have one loop between VS, R1, and R2, another loop among the three resistors R1, R3, and RL, and the third loop among R2, RL, and R4. And if you remember, this looks like a Wheatstone bridge with three loops. Now let's try to solve this problem. If we have five resistors in this format, and let's assume that the direction of IA, IB, and IC are all in the clockwise direction, how will we get the equation now? So in loop A, you will see here minus 12 plus 330 IA minus IB plus 300 IA minus IC. But let's go back. If we will be using loop number A or IA loop, let's start from here. It would be 330 multiplied with the current IA going downward, but IB is going upward. Therefore, 330 multiply with IA minus IB. That's what we have here. 330 IA minus IB. And if you go here on the R2, that would be 300 multiply with IA minus IC. That's why we have here 300 IA minus IC. And finally, if you move here, going into the VS, that will be minus 12. Correct? Minus 12 going upward. That's why we have here minus 12. And together, the algebraic sum of this will be equal to 0. Now, in terms of loop IB or loop B, it will be 330 IB minus IA from here, 330 IB minus IA, and plus 360 IB because there's no other current here. So it will be 360 IB. You see here, 360 IB. And here, plus 1 kilo ohm IB or 1000 IB minus IC. Let's see. 1000 IB minus IC. See it? And we don't have any other voltages here. That's for loop IB or loop B. Now, on the third loop, we also have three resistors. It will be 1000 IC minus IB. 1000 IC minus IB, right? And here will be 390 IC. But there's no minus here because there's no other current. That's why it will be 390 IC, like this one. And we have here 300 IC minus IA. 300 IC minus IA, like here. 300 IC minus IA. That's how we got these loops. And this constant value, minus 12, you can move it to the right and it will become positive. That's why it becomes positive here. But loop B and loop C has no other constants. That's why these are all zeros. Now, 330 IA distributed here will be 330 IA minus 330 IB plus 300 IA. And it's obvious that 330 IA and 300 IA will be added together. Then we will get 630 IA. And then this will be minus 330 IB. And this will be minus 300 IC. That's how the loop A was conceived or written here. Now, this one, 330 IB minus 330 IA plus 360 IB plus 1000 IB minus 1000 IC. And we will only have one IA, which will be negative 330 IA. That's why we have here negative 330 IA. But the IB, 330 IB plus 360 IB plus 1000 IB, we will get 1690 IB. And the IC will just be negative 1000 IC, and that's what we have here. That's how we conceived or how we get the loop B. Now in loop C, 300 IC minus 300 IA plus 1000 IC minus, because plus minus, so minus 1000 IB plus 390 IC. Then we will see here that there's only a single IA, so 300 minus I. This will be negative 300 IA as we put here, and the IB will be only 1000 IB, negative 1000 IB here, and the IC will be 300 IC plus 1000 IC plus 390 IC. We will get 1690 IC equals 0. That's how we get the three loops. And by using the Casio mode 5 2, you try it, mode 5.2, you will get the answer for this, IA, IB, and IC in the form of X, Y, and Z. But for now, let's use the determinant method. So writing the equation, we will see 630, 330, and 300 negatives, na minus 330, 1690, and 1000 negative here, and then negative 300, negative 1000, and 1690 here. And then we put a line on the right and a line on the left, and we copy the 630, 330, 300, which is here, and then we copy the 330, 1690, 1000 on the right, and we will get the answer here as this. That will be the denominator for our solution. But to be able to do that, you have to do cross multiplication. 630 multiply with 1690, 1690, minus 330 multiply with minus 1000, multiply with minus 300, plus 300 multiply with negative, all negative 300, 313, 1000. And then minus the other side, 300, 1690, 300 multiply to each other, the 1000, 1000, 630, plus the 1690, 330, 330. It's so hard to do. But if you have the Casio calculator that I have shown in the other video, mode 5.2 will do the solution. Anyway, after getting that, that's only for the denominator. You have to solve for IA, IB, and IC. Now, if you go back to the equation, IA is the 630, 330, and 300, right? And you did not put it here. Instead, we just keep the constant 1200, and then the 330, and the this 330, 1690, and 100, and 300, 1000, 1690. We will keep this, but this one, we will replace it with this 1200. So we get here 1200. Now, if you will solve for IB, you want IB, then you cancel these three. Cancel 330, 16, 19, 1000, and change it with 1200 like here. See? That's the IB. And the IC, we replace the 300, 1000, 16, 90 here with 1200 like here. So the 1200 here for IA, here for IB, and here for IC. And then you do the cross multiplication. So we will multiply 12, multiply with 1690, 1690, minus the uh, 12, 12, 1000, and 1000. So here, we will multiply this, uh, 1000 and 1000 over here. So we have this one, and then 1000, 1000, and 12 on this side. Minus 12, multiply with minus 100, multiply with minus 100. And we got 35.1 milliamperes. Now, solving for IB, we will get here 12 multiply with negative 1000, multiply with negative 300, minus 330, 12, and 1690. So here, 1690 multiply with negative 330 and 12. Here, we will have 12 multiply with 330, multiply with 1000, and then minus, this will be here, 1, 2, 3, and then we will multiply 300, 1690, and 12, and subtract it from here, we'll get this. But why will you do this, right? This is so hard. So we can use the Casio calculator mode 5.2, and we will get the IA, IB, and IC. And that will be represented in the calculator as X, Y, and Z. Now, let's say we continue doing this, and we will find current R1 or I1. That's the difference of IA minus IB. And how could that be? Right? How could that be? That the current I1 is the difference of IA minus IB. Look, if we go here, we know that the current I1 is along R1, right? And the currents involved here is IA and IB. Therefore, we have to subtract IA and IB. Whichever is higher, that will be the one where we will subtract from. So we got the IA equal to 35 milliampere, and IB is only 16. Therefore, we can subtract 35 minus 16, and we got 18.8 milliamperes. Now, the same with I2, going back to the R2, this is R2, and the currents involved is IA and IC. We get the difference between IA and IC, and that will be IA minus IC again, because 35 is bigger than 15. We got 19.3. And for in the case of which one? R3, the I3 is equal to IB, and the I4 is equal to IC. That's so easy. So we got here I3 equals IB and the I4 equals IC. And the IL, the current across or through RL, the one involved is IB and IC. So we subtract IB minus IC or IC minus IB, whichever is higher. And IB is 16 and IC is 15. Therefore, it will be 16.2 minus 15.8 because IB is bigger. And that's how we get the currents across or along all of the or each of the resistors. Now, another kind of circuit we see here is involving three loops, loop I1, IA, loop IB, and loop IC. And we can say R1 plus R3 plus R2 multiplied with IA minus R3 multiplied with IC minus R2 multiplied with IB for this loop. For this loop, we can say R2 plus R4 multiplied with IB minus R2 IA minus R4 IC minus VS equals 0. And on this side, we can say R3 plus RL plus R4 multiplied with IC minus R3 IA minus R4 IB equals 0. Okay? Now, let's see an example. Let's say we have this example. We can say 15 kilo ohms plus 7.5 plus 22 IA. Let's see here if I'm right. Okay, where's IA? No, it did not happen like that, but it will be like 15 plus 22 plus 7.5. And we will get 44.5 IA. Correct? But let's do it one at a time. All right. So we will have 15 kilo ohm IA. Right. Where is it? See? 15 IA. Let's cancel the kilo ohms. Let's assume that this will all be kilo ohms. So 15 IA. Then here it will be there will be two currents involved, IA and IC. Therefore, it will be 7.5 open parenthesis IA minus IC. Let's see. I'm correct. See? 7.5 IA minus IC. And then here we will have R2, right? 22. That would be 22 IA minus IB. Let's see. 22 IA minus IB. See, I'm right. And that will be equal to 0 because there's no voltage source over here. Now, let's go to IB. We have three components, 22K, 8.2K, and VS. So, how will we do it? Let's start with the 22K. In the 22K, it will already be 22 IB minus IA. Let's see. See? 22 IB minus IA. And then, on 8.2, it will be IBIC. Therefore, 8.2 IB minus IC. Look. See? 8.2 IB minus IC. And then, here, if you go clockwise, you will enter negative. So that will be minus 12. See? Minus 12. Oh, now, let's look at loop IC. Let's see. 7.5 IC minus IA. 7.5 IC minus IA. Correct? Plus, let's see, uh, 10 IC. There's no other current here. So plus 10 IC. Let's see. See? Plus 10 IC. I'm correct. And then here, plus 8.2 IC minus IB. Plus 8.2 IC minus IB. Right? And in this third loop, there is no voltage source. Therefore, equals 0. We did not subtract any other constant or added equals 0. And by substitution or simplifying this, it will be 22 IA minus 22 IB plus 15 IA plus 7.5 IA minus 7.5 IC. Now, the 22 IA plus 15 IA plus 7.5 IA will become 44.5 IA. And then we have a single IB, so it will be minus 22 IB here. And then we have a single IC minus 7.5 IC equals 0. Here, we got IA. Where's IA? This one is IA, right? So this will be negative 22 IA, like this one. IB, we have 1 and 2. 2 IB, therefore it will be 22 IB plus 8.2 IB, we will get 30.2 IB. And the IC, which is negative 8.2 IC, will be here. Again, this will be minus 12 plus 22 IB minus 22 IA plus 8.2 IB minus 8.2 IC equals 0. And if you simplify it, you will get this. But you have to arrange it so that IA will be the first, IB will be the second, and IC will be the third, and the constant will be on the right side of the equation. And here, how many IA we will have? Let's simplify it first. 8.2 IC minus 8.2 IB plus 7.5 IC minus 7.5 IA plus 10 IC equals 0. So the IA will be 7.5 IA negative. That will be negative 7.5 IA plus negative 8.2 IB plus IC, which is 8.2 plus 7.5 plus 10, we will get 25.7 IC. That will be equal to 0. And so by calculation, in the calculator, mode 5.3, just enter all of these constants, the value of the IA, IB, IC, just press mode 5.2, 44.5 equals, and then negative 22 equals, and then negative 7.5 equals, and then 0 equals, followed by the other uh, numbers here. And then finally, you will get x1, x2, and x3. Or in the Casio, it will be x, y, and z. And you will get it as IA, IB, and IC. You try it, and you will get the values of the IA, IB, and IC. Now that you get IA, IB, and IC, we can say that I1 is equal to IA, IL is equal to IC, but the I2 will be depending on the difference between IA and IB. I3 is the difference between IA and IC, and I4 is the difference between IB and IC. As we will show you here, that the I2 is the difference between A and B. I3 equals I3 will be equal to IA, and then I4 will be the difference between IB and IC, and IL is equal to where's IL? Equal to IC. Okay, so that's the branch current method, and the next one will be the node voltage method. So let's see the node voltage method. This is another method of analysis for multiple loop circuit. This is called node voltage method or nodal analysis. And let's see how it is done. First, we have to identify this is node VA. This is also a node between VS1 and R1. This is also a node between R3 and VS2. This is also a node between the VS1, R2, and VS2. And these are the currents that we assumed. And these are depending on the positivity or negativity here, positive or negative, will depend on the direction of the current. What we do is the part where the current is entering will be positive, and the part where the current is coming out will be the negative. Like here, it's entering here, so positive here and negative here, coming out. Coming in, positive, negative here. That's how we do it. And these are the steps. We have to determine the nodes, and we have to select one node as our reference, and all voltages will be related or relative to the node that you have chosen. And we have to assign the current at each nodes that we will identify as unknown, and the direction will be arbitrary. It means it depends on you, whatever direction of current you want. And we will apply KCL, and then after applying Kirchhoff's current law, we will apply Ohm's law, and we will apply the nodal or node voltage analysis. So let's start with the KCL. All current going in I1 plus I3 minus coming out I2 will be equal to 0. And arranging it, it will be I1 minus I2 plus I3 equals 0. By Ohm's law, I1 is equal to V1 over R1, same with V2 over R2 for I2, and I3 will also be V3 over R3. But V1 is the subtraction of VS1 minus VA. Now we go back here, the V1 is VS1 minus VA following the current direction. Here, VS2 minus VA following the current direction of I3. That's why you will see here that the I3 is VS3 minus VA. So this is, I'm sorry, I3 here will be VS2 minus VA, and the I2 will be VA minus 0 if that is the the ground. So this is not VS3, not VS3 on the V3. It is supposed to be, sorry for that, but it's supposed to be VS2. So let me pause because my battery is nearly finished. So let's pause this recording first.